Hello, my name is Adham Abdelwahab. I'm joined by Matthew Oyales, Jeremy Krugman, and Phil Annerin, and today we're going to be presenting CyclSafe. Um, so before we get into the actual application, we're going to demonstrate how to initialize it, and the first thing you want to do is npm I to install all packages. Then you want to do npm run seed to initialize the database with some values. And then you want to do npm start. All right, and now our application is active. As you can see, the seeding script has initialized the databases with some users, some ratings, and also associates some of the ratings with some of the users, and also some infrastructure elements at various locations near Hoboken and the general area. Here's the landing page for the application. Um, you're started off with a brief description of what CyclSafe is, and I will reiterate that CyclSafe, or not reiterate, but I will kind of repeat what it's saying. And CyclSafe is a project that aims to make urban cycling safer for all bikers by providing safer routes, the ability to rate certain areas as safe and unsafe, and report dangerous conditions on the road. There are also features that involve things that a biker might be interested in, like repair shops, bike racks, and roadblocks that are also able to be reported by users. But you do not need to be a user to have an idea of what the application does, because there is a guest mode. In the guest mode, as you can see, you get a brief idea of what the application is actually like by seeing a heat map that other users have contributed to. This heat map has ratings from many different areas by many different people, and each rating comes with a number and a reason why they rated that location a certain way. So as you can see, someone rated this place a 7 because the area is not as safe as it used to be. This heat map cannot be interacted with other than what you're seeing in guest mode. They're not allowed to add new ratings because they don't have an account, and they also obviously can't delete ratings. But there is a brief description about how to read the heat map and also what the numbers signify and what the scale is. And there's also the option to register. So here's the register page. There are a few things that are needed. A username, a display name, and a password. Um, the display name has very lax requirements. I believe it's letters and numbers, and it's the same, and spaces. And the username is letters and numbers and no spaces. However, the password does have special requirements. So if we try to make an account here, we have a valid display name as it is letters, numbers, and a space, and it's a reasonable length. That's one of the other requirements. It can't be too short or too long. The username also has those requirements where it can't be too short or too long. And as you can see, we have an invalid username. Now that we have a valid username, the error goes away, but now we have issues with the password. And this is where the password requirements are shown. Password must contain at least one uppercase letter, one number, and one special character. So let's put in a valid password real quick. And now it'll say that the passwords do not match if they don't match. But if they do match, then they should be, they should now have a valid account that they can log in with. But go back to the sign up one more time, because there are other things I want to demonstrate. So there are already a few accounts seeded into the database with the seeding script, and one of them is an account with the display name, with the username A Abdel Wahab, or as you can see here, display name Matt Oyalis, and username M Oyalis. If someone tries to make an account with the same username or display name, they will get an error. Username already exists. And if they change the username but keep the same display name, or this is also just to show that it's case insensitive. But if they change the username but also try to have the same display name, so just put like a 123. There you go. Display name already exists. The display name, the username is used for login, but the display name is also an issue if there are the same display names. So neither of those things are allowed. And with that, we have a functioning account that can log in. And I think we can show the login stuff.
All right. Now that the user is logged in, we can see that they have access to this new homepage here, where because they're logged in, they have access to more of the features. I'll be showing you a few of them. The first of them is the heat map. I know Adam went over this already, but what is it? You can see now the heat map does look a little different if you are logged in and not a guest. So, I mean, first of all, it's not calling you a guest, but if you zoom in a little here, you can see that each of the ratings has heat markers around it, which help kind of indicate which areas are rated more and not. And also you can see if you put your mouse over the map part in the top right corner where it says map there. No, top left. I forgot my directions. You can enable some stuff like terrain, and it'll give you a bit more of an idea of stuff. And you can also turn it onto satellite mode too to see it that way. And yeah, that's how the heat map works. It's a little different, as you can see, if you are logged in, and that's our heat map. So go back to the home page, please. So you can see that we can add rating. So if you click on add a rating, the way this works here is you can choose a location, and if you zoom in for me, please, I'll say, all right, pick a place like a little west of Hoboken, actually, just so that it's not like we can actually see it later. Zoom out a little. Here, if you click click the Heights. Click where it says the Heights. Yeah, let's say right there. When you click, what it'll do is it'll select that area with the lat long location. And as you can see, if we try to just submit it like this, it's going to give us an error message because we need to have valid stuff in our thing, which means we need to have a message. So I just type in there, I had a pleasant ride through in the rating explanation, and you can put 8 as rating. I had a nice ride, submit. Yep. And now, if you zoom in there, let's find it. You can see our rating over there at the Heights. I had a nice ride. What a pleasant time. So yeah, that's how the add a rating feature works. Now go back to the homepage, please. Delete a rating. So let's say I take my decision back and I didn't have a nice time. So if you click delete, This what is it? It's on a delete it from our thin. This is done through an Ajax form, so it doesn't even reload or anything. So you can quickly delete multiple if you change your mind. And now if you go over to the heat map, click to heat map, and you zoom in over there, you can see that in the heights there are no where our rating was is completely gone. So yeah, we can add and delete ratings. It's awesome. But yeah, go back to the homepage.
Okay, now directions for which is just um the map would actually able to show directions between 2 points um based on like how the ratings are in the area and shows the average of the ratings between each point. So enter for the start one, for example, my address 770 Jackson Street, top one. And the second one Stevens, top one. And then hit submit. So now it brings up the line, which is of course the direction, like the route it recommends taking from my addressed campus, and you could click on each of the values up top. So 9th Street and 7th Street, it brings up a different line based on the ratings, and of course the buttons are clickable for exactly what the ratings are, and the starting buttons are clickable. One of them, yeah, like that. And then, of course, there's the back to home page button, like always. And then search by location, which is, so let's say, I know I know where the data is populated right now. So let's say you want to, I don't know, search up Dallas, Pennsylvania. The second one. And then it brings up an average rating there for a place that you might not know even existed. Um, then you could also you could search any location and it will like Hoboken. It'll bring up the average rating of Hoboken. That's the homepage. Then visual data, which is uses both the Google Maps API and something I found online called Charts API, which I find very interesting. The chart on the bottom actually adjusts based on the data that's currently on the map. So, this is an answer we sometimes run into based on how zoomed in it is, but like based on the, then go back up to the map, and let's say zoom out a little bit, and then go to the chart. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So you just have the 3 ratings now, and then you have the 8 and the 10, which I mean, okay, that's something I have to fix later. Okay, and now just go back to homepage.
Okay, so we've had a pretty good tour of like most of the parts that are here, from the heat map, search by location, directions, visual data, add a rating, delete a rating. So what about these last 2 buttons here? Well, this concerns cycling infrastructure. So another piece of data that cyclists might be interested in is like finding out like where bike racks are, where repair shops are, stuff of that nature. So when you go to add infrastructure, for example, you're taken to this page in which you have a map very similar to the add a rating. You have like the sort of map here in which you are asked to put in a location. So I could like let's say I want to actually let's just do it in somewhere that doesn't have a lot of ratings and pre-populated data. Let's say somewhere in Staten Island. Why not? So we could go somewhere like St. George, Staten Island, and you can see it populates the lat long there. And this is something I wanted to point out that wasn't pointed out earlier is that you cannot type into that, and that's for a very good reason because we do not want to have any messed up inputs. User is only allowed to read there. Now, what kind of infrastructure is over here at this little point in St. George? Let's say there's a bike rack there. And if you hit submit, then we're going to go see, let me zoom in, oh, like little icons here. Oh, what do you look at that? There happens to be a bike rack there at St. George, Staten Island. And this also just transitions very smoothly into the infrastructure map in which you have. So kind of like the heat map, you can go view a bunch of different data points. As you can see, for testing purposes, we just very highly concentrated around the Hoboken area. So like let's say there's some construction there, like this is a road blockage because Hoboken's always under construction. There's a bike repair shop over there. Users are allowed to input this data. So we go back to add infrastructure. You have these options here. You can select construction, roadblock, bike shop. So let's say let's just choose another random point, like in the middle of Long Island, for example, and like I had like a roadblock. You'll see that reflected over there. Now, something I want to clarify is that we also have like input checking here. So if you don't put anything in, that's very clear in error. You can't have an empty string. If you have that, you can't have an empty input. So we tried to make we made the program as robust as possible against any bad inputs there. And this one's even easier in the sense that you can't even type anything. You can only select and punch on the map, so to speak. So with that being said, let's say that you're just about done with like everything here. There's an option to log out, but I just want to take some time to show you this little thing here, just like our little about page. Because like if you want to explore this page and like see like everything's all about, see where you are there. Yeah, just still talking a little bit about our mission, how things work. A lot of like also big collaborative effort and like all the CSS that went onto this page. So you meet the team. You don't see our faces now, but you can go see them right here. Start from Adam, Phil, Jeremy, and myself, the current narrator, Matt Oyales. And you can go back to the top of the page, and let's say that you're actually finally done, browsing around as your logged in account, Mr. T-Man, whoever this is. We have the options to also just go back to creating rating, creating infrastructure. Those like your action buttons. But then you also, of course, have log out, which when you click that, simply put, you're just back out here to the home page in which we started this tour. And one thing to note here is that you can also access the about page from here while you're not logged in. It's just that you have to have the option to log in there. And I think that will be it as far as our little website tour of CyclSafe goes.
I think there's actually one more thing that wasn't mentioned.
Yes,
If you
Adam.
go to the login page,
Yes.
when someone was trying to log into an account that wasn't theirs just to get access to CyclSafe, even though it's free to sign up, and they're just doing it because they're really bored and they want to see if they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you type someone's username and a faulty password, it won't tell them whether the username or the password was wrong. It will just say, if you put in a valid password, that has a special character, a number, and an uppercase letter.
Oops, my mistake. That was actually the correct password for the account.
I was about to say that was a really crazy valid password.
Let's see. I'm just gonna say. There you go.
It just says invalid username or password without telling them which one is wrong, and it keeps the form as it is. So they won't be able to. It will be much harder to crack into an account that isn't theirs. That's all. Thank you.
That's exactly right. We wanted to make sure that any place where there's text input is as secure as possible. Under the hood, we of course have XSS and all that good stuff. Same thing here with the sign up form, very similar sort of idea. And with that, I believe is everything that we needed for our tour. If any of my other colleagues have any closing remarks for this project.
One thing I wanted to say, because just to be clear, could you go to the visual data? Are it making you log in? The way
No
it
worries.
was, the way it was, go to the chart.
Yes.
So the way it was bouncing around before, it was adjusting the axis because it's not in a place big enough to fit all of them. So let's say like there are well more of, let's say there's 35s. How many go over 6? There's no way there aren't any 6s. I'd be very surprised. Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. Okay, now scroll down. So yeah, the way it constantly adjusts like that, it's just adjusting the axis so you could see everything. It's not broken. It's supposed to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification there. And I just wanted to like remark that as far as technologies go in our project, we went with like a lot of the stuff that was introduced to us throughout our time here in CS 546. So you have like a lot of like um, templating through handlebars. We use like Express with our routes. Of course, we use MongoDB as we saw at the very beginning. The one piece of technology that was particularly challenging, because since it wasn't introduced to us or taught, was the Google Maps API, and with a lot of these maps had to be specially created for the purposes of this. Jeremy, I know like you have any remarks about like the some of the stuff behind the Google Maps API.
So first of all, Google Maps API is incredibly well documented. It's like if you want to learn it for the basic map, it's not bad. The problem is it is so advanced that figuring out how to do specific things is difficult. So like the directions took me hours to figure out just because of there are so many specific things to get right with the API, like in order to get it to work and everything. It's I've honestly come to appreciate it even more. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we've all come to like learn like just like how powerful like certain APIs provided by like certain companies like Google can like really be in building like certain like powerful applications of our own. And I think like with like a lot of like what we have here, as I mentioned in our little blurb here, safety through information I think is like really the biggest thing here, and through like all the different like bits of data, like how we collect them, how we get them all is like really you know um, really reflected in this project of CyclSafe. So yeah, I think with that, like all the closing remarks about technology and all of that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time, Professor Hill. If you're listening to this, thank you so much for being so great over this entire semester. Um, Wishing you all the best, of course, and of course, your consideration for a good grade on this project. If anyone else has anything to say to close this out.
Thank you so much for a great semester, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great
It was
break.
fun.
Thank you for
And
being
if any
a
TAs
wonderful
are
team.
listening to this, thank you for being really good with office hours and stuff.
Yes, and also thank you for
It's literally a TA army actually, the most TAs I've ever seen.
very hardworking CAs, all of them, and a very hardworking professor to lead them.
All
So
right.
I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. That's just what it is.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.